Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Zoom In After Dark. This is a platform where we get a little bit more in depth about topics that we might want to talk about, a little bit more spicier than Zoom In on a fresh conversation. And so we decided to bring back the family. And the family is Andre Hill Sr. and Andre Hill Jr. And they're also here with Terrence Lake and Divine Goddess Queen Mother Brenda Allen and Dennis Thicken. And we are going to talk again about the 144,000, and it is referring to Lucifer's Revenge, a guide for the 144,000 chosen, written by Andre Hill, Andre Hill Sr. and Andre Hill Jr. And I thank you both for being back here on our platforms for the Fresh Book Festival. And so at the end of our conversation on Monday, I got a email from someone who said, "You talked about everything except these individuals are described as having come out of the great tribulation, and they have washed their robes, making them white in the blood of the Lamb. Additionally, there's a great multitude from every nation, tribe, people, and language, and they all had the seal." Now, I did not answer that email because I had no idea how to answer that email. And we're going to come back to that. What I want first is for Andre Hill Sr. to tell me what it is you had envisioned when you started writing Lucifer's Revenge, a guide for the 144,000 chosen.
So, like the first book that I wrote, it started with downloads. Tons of bits of information of the universe and the formulas of balance just loaded down into your consciousness. And it usually happens in the early mornings. And so, just like with my first book, The Second Coming, I would get up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, wide awake. And I started out with a legal pad and just tried to write. And then eventually it was so much knowledge. I bought a laptop and put it in the bed next to me. And so the same thing happened with this book. The frequency is being broadcast. The Aboriginals, the melanated people, the original children of the Most High, that have been bound and discarded for so long, are now starting to wake up. Part of that awakening, we realized that we didn't all come over here on the ships from Africa. We was already here. This land was ours. We lost our nationality because the Europeans were working on a diabolical plan from the Catholic Church to convert everybody into Christians, and those that did convert, kill them. So the Great Awakening is happening. It's happening. I see it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. People are saying, hey, we've been asleep. And so what this book is, a manual, a confirmation. Everybody's receiving these downloads. It's a frequency that's being broadcast through the air, just like a radio station. And so, there's nothing weird about we're turning on the radio station in our car.
Right.
This is the same technology. It's just more advanced. So it's being broadcast to our receptacles. And so what my instructions were by the Most High was to prepare a manual. And the manual served many purposes. It serves as a notice to the oppressors that we know what's going on. We know the history that's been obscured. We know who we are now. And so it's a confirmation for those individuals when they read it and say, yes, I knew this. This is in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that awakening is a beautiful thing. The other, the most critical issue now is when a person buys the book, the frequency on the entire planet changes. And it's just not about promoting the book habit, but it's like they know you're on the team now. They know you have a playbook. And so, that's what was downloaded into me. And then my son got sanctified,
Yeah.
and he told me the first time I told him, I said, "Well, we got to prepare this book." He said, "Dad, look, I'm real busy right now, so and so." I said, "Okay." And all of a sudden, he got hit with the frequency, and he started writing, and he couldn't put it down. He couldn't stop. And a majority of the chapters in here are things that he downloaded, and that his uh, from the supreme being, transmitting into his mind. So that's how we got here.
So, Andre Jr., tell me about when your father came to you and you said, "Hey, no, listen, I'm good. I'm not doing this." At what point what was the first thing that hit you that said you're going to be a part of it, whether you like it or not?
Um, I'm gonna give the details profoundly, but briefly for the sake of time, right?
Well, I mean, unless we want to get on Instagram, we're good. We got an hour, but yeah,
Okay,
let's do it.
all right. Um, Specifically, that this is what he came to me and said. This is what I want you to add to the book.
Oh, he
First,
left some stuff out.
right, right. But
Um,
first, he was very excited. And this is my father, so I've seen him excited before. And not to minimize it, but I was like, okay, then I hear you. You want to write a new book, and I support you on it. And at the time, last year, just on a personal note, I was going through some challenges with my business, with my construction and real estate business. Had a couple deals fall through where I was supposed to make some six figures. I'll just say that, and it didn't happen. And so at the time, I was in a headspace of recouping losses. Right,
what's that?
right. So in my mind, when he came to me with this, is my mind was on, let's say, tangible building and on this planet. And he said, "Man, we need to put together a body of literature that is of the Most High." And so I was like, he's just what he said. Like I only got. I think I said to you in particular. I said I can probably dedicate like 10% of my time to
Yes,
this.
I think that's what you said on Monday.
I think I said that to him verbatim.
Uh,
And he said, what he asked me though was, I want you to particularly insert a piece about Lilith
mm,
and what she was from an astrological perspective. I said, okay, no problem. But just like he said, so I'm reading, I'm getting a gist from him of what he's going to write about. I say, Dad, well, when it comes to Lucifer, he's like, I gotta, I know who Lucifer is historically, and let's even say biblically. And now, mind you, I had a overview understanding, but like you said, the frequency hit me, and I went into a very deep spiritual investigative mode.
mm.
And I discovered and uncovered some secrets I didn't know until I started digging into it. And I was capable of digging into this objectively and from a spiritual perspective, and unbiasedly. And so I was able to find the information while I was being downloaded with what direction to go, all at
Right?
the same time. And so, long story short, the key message was: listen, we know you were not necessarily raised Christian, and I have to give that credit to my mother and my father. They never made me go to church, right? So my point of saying that is, I like me being a part of the quote unquote conscious community. I don't have the disdain for the church that most people who come out of church do,
Right.
right? So me, I've always had a respect for whatever religion anyone practices, because it never scarred me because I wasn't forced into it, right? So I always took it easy on some of the misinformation that came with certain religions. I was like, hey, that's what you want to do, that's what you
Yeah,
believe,
I'm
that's fine.
good. Let's
but
remain friends.
right. I was was very diplomatic about
Right.
it,
Let's remain friends.
and
No
I'm
problem.
still diplomatic about it.
Good.
But but this frequency, this message from the Most High said no, but you have the skill set to unlock some very important secrets, and you have a way of conveying it. I need you to do it, and I need you to not be squeamish about it.
Don't be scared.
Right.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I started doing the investigations, and as I'm writing, I'm discovering more information, and this is what that means. Why I couldn't put it down,
Mm.
because the more I dug into it, the broader the information became, the more intricate it became. And I was like, I got to put all this in the book. I can't leave this part out, right? And so, I'm talking to my friends about it, who kind of understand the concepts of all of this, and they were just saying, Andre, you're not going to be able to put all of that in there, but and also stop trying to give everybody stop trying to spoon feed everybody every little
Give it to
detail.
them.
Let them just give it to them. Everybody's wrong. Let them choose a steak, and they're going to
Yeah.
come to their own
Right.
conclusions on what's happening. So I just made sure that I revealed very key points that once you read that, once you observe that, once you take that into your mind, there is no reversal. You can't really go back at that point,
No,
right?
you can't.
And,
No.
and I had to be courageous about saying, you know what, I'm gonna put it in there just like that, just how it was given to me. We think anyone reading it would be better for it.
And so I'd like to know what the integral part that the other three people here play in this 144,000 storybook. So Terrence, do you want to let the audience know what your integral part is in the 144,000?
Well, I'm a student under them. They're teaching me. There are things that I have never been exposed to. You know, I got involved with the hills by just surfing the web, and I seen a father and son team, and I was amazed at how they were, bouncing back and forth with each other, just lifting each other up, you know. So I decided to, communicate with them, and they asked me to come on the show because I'm an author myself of a book titled God's Child,
Okay.
and I could speak with them openly about universal things. And with their book that they just came out with, Lucifer's Revenge, it's a teaching element to me.
The tool.
I, it's a tool, absolutely, for sure. And I'm learning from it. So I am about halfway through. And the mythology in the book, I've heard some of that, but a lot of it I haven't heard. So I'm digesting, what's in that book. And hopefully the other half will take me to another level.
Right.
But like I say, I'm an individual that's universal, and I got my concept of, how life was created and, how we got to where we are now. And I think in a positive sense that we're on that precipice where it's going to be a heavenly
Don't blow
environment on
up.
earth.
Yeah, really, for sure. Thank you so much, Terrence. What about you, Divine Goddess?
Well, actually, thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about
Oh,
my
absolutely.
experience with reading the book. Although, like Brother Terrence, I'm halfway through because I need to digest it. But having been a part of the conversation prior to the book writing with Andre Jr. and Andre Sr., so I have been alerted to what was coming in the book. And being clairvoyant myself, as well as a medium and a chosen light worker, I am able to readily accept the information and increase my level of frequency and vibration when I understand who I am. And I understand myself to be divine, to be a goddess, and to be a queen. So identify with those three entities, and with that high regard, Lucifer or Beelzebub, all of their team cannot touch me. So I learned knowledge from reading the book, that there is strength in numbers, and that there is a creation story that young King Andre Jr. wrote that I'm absorbing, because I didn't know very much about Lilith and the Anunnaki and Enlil and those characters. But a similar story, when I did my Sankofa, I learned about Osiris, Asar, and Haru. So the creation story, I understand, has transcended many other different religions. And to put it to a greater understanding of where I lie in the whole realm and the scheme of enlightenment and knowledge sharing. And that's what I do with Ma'at Sankofa African Learning Temple. We will share the book knowledge and then have the authors be a part of the teaching on this mobile classroom, which will be a school bus. And they will be able to help our people understand where we are and how do we get out of the situation that we're in right now. And it's going to take a bold step, and it's going to take fearless people to do that. And the book gives us some of that, a lot of that energy, a lot of that frequency and vibration to take us to the next level of our evolution as human beings, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's where I am.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dennis, can you tell me how integral you are in this situation?
Certainly. Basically, I guess, well, let me just start with, I met Andre Hill Jr. a few years ago at a historic library in Tampa, Florida, as I was prospecting for a financial services company. My partner and I, we met with Andre Jr. and we developed, a relationship from that point. I learned he was a businessman. And then Senior, I think I saw him on Facebook. Then I started seeing Andre Senior at some community meetings in Tampa, Community Redevelopment Association. Noticed that he was very intelligent, serious about advancement of people, Black Americans, African Americans. So from my standpoint, the book, Lucifer's Revenge, I've read it quickly through, I'm reading it again. I am more like a student observer, absorbing it. I'm of the, like I mentioned to Senior before and maybe Junior on Zoom, I had a direct conversation and get download from God, the creator, the, the divine being when I was very young. And he told me who I was and who Black people are. So from maybe 8, 9, 10 years old forward, I go strictly on hearing from him, understanding who I am, the power within, the ability, the anointings, and even just observing in life. Black Americans, we excel in the arts, media, education, academics, the sciences. And there's something very unique and powerful about us that doesn't really amaze me now, because like I said, I was enlightened and empowered and shown at a very young age, because I asked God back then, I said, why this? Why are Black people not unified? Why are we not sticking together when all these other people are coming against us? We're supposed to be teaming up, pooling our resources, loving each other, doing stuff. So this Lucifer's Revenge, enlightenment, and even in the book, they speak of benevolence and unconditional love. A lot of the information in that book, I was brought to Anunnaki or Neil, some things I hadn't heard. And there's mention of biblical principles in that book. So the book is what moves me, the contents of it, and even in scripture, and more importantly, my direct contact and answers and empowerment coming from God Almighty himself at a very young age. And I continue to be empowered by him, led by the Spirit, the creator of heaven and earth, maker, with power, energy, or frequency that I operate on a level. I'll just close it by saying this. There's a scripture that says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And in all you're getting, get understanding. So I understand who I am, who we are, who created us, what we can do. And that's pretty much it. That's how I feel. And yeah.
Thank you, Dennis.
Hope that
Thank you
made
very
sense.
much. I am always surprised when I ask someone who is of a theological persuasion, what did God do first? And they'll say, he made Adam and Eve. And I think, no, that wasn't the first step. It was the heavens and the earth. Without all that, there would not have been any Adam and Eve. That was the real start. And so Andre Jr., I'm going to say to you that I called you aloof, and I want to say that that's not an aloofness, that's a shield. That's what I call mine. And I've been accused of being aloof, but I think it is a principal shield that only certain people get a chance to come through. Do you think that that's the same case with you, Andre?
Yeah, absolutely. We can just call ourselves some chosen ones.
Yeah, it's a shield. I love it. I love having it actually, because sometimes it catches me really off guard, but saves me in many other instances. So let's go back to this question I got from Monday. It's long, so just bear with me. These individuals are described as having come out of the great tabulation, and they have washed their robes, making them white in the blood of the Lamb. Additionally, there's a great multitude from every nation, tribe, people, language, standing before the throne, wearing white robes and bearing the seal. Now, to me, that's kind of a dichotomy, right? If I'm the chosen one, how do I wear the mark of the devil? So I'll take that to you first, Andre Hill, Senior.
Oh, okay. So, as I said before, on the show on Monday, when humans were trying to interpret these writings, these scriptures, they didn't have that scientific mind because, at one point they thought that the world, the universe evolved around planet Earth and that the Earth was flat. It just didn't have the scientific infrastructure to understand a lot of the writings. So there's really two questions in this thing. The mark of the beast, and my son expanded on it in the book about the transhumanism. It's a way that these low frequency extraterrestrials with advanced technology, they have to get control, and they want to limit your ability to make choices. And by doing that, they will convert you into artificial intelligence in two ways, biologically and mechanically. And so this is an introduction. The mark of the beast is an introduction. And I ran across a video said by this Christmas, December, they're going to start the implants. And the objective is to make it mandatory, especially if you're on government assistance. You can't get access to your information or your benefits unless you have the implant. That's ultimately what they want to do if we allow them. So that implant you would have to, the memory of it, like if somebody asks you your social security number, it's in your head. You have to, you quote out those numbers, and in the palm of your hand. Right now, it's the cards, but eventually they need to put a chip. They want to put a chip in you where it controls all your vital symptoms and all your financial information and your access to the benefits that are provided by these low frequency extraterrestrials. So that's the control. The seal is there are the advanced civilizations out there in the universe. They operate just like the model here with us humans. We know there are other countries, so we create an illusionary program called the Red Cross. And you can join the Red Cross to volunteer to go help developing nations. Well, that's the same thing. That same model goes throughout the universe. So there are souls that come here that volunteer to give up their extraterrestrial body to incarnate in the human bodies, and the only thing they can bring is the love and the frequency that they evolve with them through many lifetimes in another solar system. But when they get here, they automatically know they're different. Once they interact with the children, as a child, when they go through those different stages, and so those individuals, they have the protection of the seal, but actually you're manifesting it yourself because of the high frequency. And so what they learn when they're here, they learn the languages, the culture, all of the lies, the deceptions, the truth, and all of the various emotions and all of that. And then at a particular point, they're activated. They're activated by those advanced civilizations. They are awakened, and then now they will attempt to communicate with humans to explain to them this is how you acquire balance. And they automatically get their downloads and confirmations, and they speak it in the language that whatever culture. So those humans are all over the planet. They speak all different languages. They're in all different cultures, and that's their job. They know who they are, and exactly at this point in time, they know who they are.
I'm not sure that the implantation hasn't already started. And let me just say that with my bout of breast cancer, they put something in me called a scout, right? The scout is an instrument that supposedly tells them exactly where the infestation of cancer is, and so they can pinpoint where to cure it. And my first question to them was, did you take it out? Right? And nobody ever really answered that question. So we really, it really is something to think about, because I think that they're doing that in a lot of ways when they do surgery. Now, is it a necessary? Probably. But one of the younger people asked me when I talked about it, they said, Miss Donna, this is like the Hunger Games? Now, I've never watched the Hunger Games, so I had no idea what they're talking about. And so I said, I'm not sure. Well, we can circle back to that. But Andre Jr., let me read the statement to you again because it's really, really long.
Sure.
These individuals are described as having come out of the great tabulation, and they have washed their robes, making them white in the blood of the Lamb. Additionally, there's a great multitude from every nation, tribe, people, and language standing before the throne with the seal.
Okay. Try not to get too complicated with this.
All right, go ahead.
Because there's several things in that, because that's a scripture, right? Yeah.
Let me see. It was sent to me, Revelation 7:14.
So I figured.
Mm-hmm.
So One thing we just have to lay on the table uh, is we have to realize who wrote that version of the Bible. First and foremost, because we realize who wrote it, you get an understanding of what their motivation for writing it was, right? And then once you understand who wrote it, and you understand where you ask yourself, where did they get the information from to craft that document?
Right.
The truth of the matter is, Revelations is is a book
The
for
scare
the
tactic.
right, it's not of the, let's say, the Torah. It's of the New Testament,
Right.
right? And we got to kind of get an understanding of the difference between the Old and the New Testament. Like take for instance, there's still a internal conflict between those two documents because, for one, let's just take the Old Testament. Let's take Judaism in general, who abide by the Old Testament. For one, they recognize Jesus to some extent, or let's say Yeshua.
Yeshua.
He is a let's say to some level a prophet or a Pharisee in Judaism, but he's not the same person in Christianity. My point of bringing that up is once we start looking at especially Revelations or the entire King James Version in general, we can source it back to all of the Nicene councils that helped craft that document over a course of about half of a millennium, right? And so the other point I want to make here is we have to understand or realize that just because they are our ancestors doesn't make them less intelligent.
Right.
Right? We tend to think that people from the past who wrote literature may have been less intelligent than we are. So there's not as if what they wrote back then can't still be a good program or
Stand
good
the test of
psychological
time,
program.
right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Um, these Christian writers from that era were very smart.
Very.
They were also trained and conditioned to craft these type of documents because, mind you, this is the first form of media. The same way we understand how commercials and any type of advertisement is a psychological, scientific process. That's what they were doing back then. You feel me? But they just didn't have any TVs. They didn't have technological distractions. So you can imagine how intelligent someone is if all they've ever done is write. They don't have the crutch of computers. They don't have the crutch of typewriters. They don't have the crutch of the internet, and they have to use all of their capacity to be able to craft psychological information. So saying that to say this, when we look at the book of Revelations, we have to take a look at when it was crafted, why it was crafted, and to what means was it designed to shape the minds of the people, and for how long, and for how long. But going back to the points in the question, the 144 sealed and being washed, coming through what was called the tribulation and standing before the throne. So these early Christian writers were trained by Kemetic groups and cults. Kemetic groups and cults were very well versed in cosmology. Matter of fact, they invented it. They understood what type of energies would take place 1,000 years from now, 2,000 years from now. Because when you take a look at some of our ancient information, we were very good timekeepers, very good cosmologists, and we were very keen on knowing where you were going and where you were coming from. Chemists'
And
whole field,
engineers.
indeed, Kemen's whole funerary rites was about knowing where you incarnated from and where you were going to incarnate to in the next lifetime. They were good at this. This is their whole culture. And now you have Christian writers who are also trained in this science. And then they're going to write the Bible. Right? So my point is, without going into too many different directions, when we say there's going to be a group who is going to make it through the tribulation, interpreting that as they know there was going to be a particular window of time where the frequency is going to be at a certain level, and there was going to be some strife that humanity at large was going to go through. And anybody who makes it through that era with their spiritual integrity intact, these are going to be these 144,000. Washing the blood of the Lamb, what they were referring to was, because we're talking about Jesus Christ, because he was considered the Lamb. Mm-hmm. The image of Jesus Christ by the King James Version is that image was created in the age of Aries, coming into the age of Pisces. Aries is the Lamb. That's what they're talking about. Aries is the Lamb. Okay. And so they made this image of Jesus during the age of Aries, knowing what type of energy it would be at the time, and knowing how people will respond to, I want to use a different term than psyops, but knowing how the general
what's this? Nobody
psychological operations. In other words, it's a for lack of a better word, it's a military tactic to psychologically condition a massive group of people. That's what it is, right? But creating Jesus in the age of the Lamb, knowing how long that psychological program was going to last, because they did it at the right time. They did it during the right frequency. Because they learn from the best. They learn from us. They learn from us how to do this, mm-hmm. Right? So I'm gonna land this plane. That's something we say on Straight Talk all the time. I'm gonna land this plane saying that particular scripture is very cryptic, but we break it down in Lucifer's Revenge.
Yes.
How to interpret that particular scripture.
Thank you so much. Divine Goddess, do you want to talk about that at all?
I do, actually. I'm not a biblical scholar, although I have studied scripture, and at one point in my life thought I would become an evangelist and teach the word of God and go out and, save the souls of people. And then I realized that there was too much controversy and too many things that were contrary in the scriptures. So when I hear that particular scripture being quoted about being washed in the blood, and when I hear young King Andre talk about the celestial portion of that being described during that time, I understand that we are in a spiritual warfare. We are in a spiritual warfare. And the fight against Lucifer is a fight against good and evil. That's what we're facing right now. And who's the positive and the negative vibrations? Who's going to win? I understand that we will be triumphant of the 144,000 chosen light workers, clairvoyants, mediums. We will be triumphant in this warfare, and Lucifer will be defeated, because we have the ability to reach the higher forces, the higher benevolent aliens that will support us in our goodness and in our unconditional love, and all that is needed to bring balance back to Mother Nature. We can't get rid of all of the negative,
No.
and we can't get rid of all of the positive because we need an equal balance of both. So we don't expect Lucifer and all of his minions to go away. There'll be some left behind, but we'll bring it down to a point where we can deal with the chaos and still have a positive balance and bring goodness back to the earth as Mother Nature would have us. Now, I do a study group on Thursdays, and we're studying the literature called Stolen Legacy. And this is going to take us back to the Kemetic teachings of our Hierophants and Magi's. And the philosophers that sat at their feet, we know them by name because they were taught us in school about Plato and Socrates and Aristotle and Hippocrates and all of those Greek philosophers, so-called original knowledge, but they sat at the feet of our pharaohs and priests and learned through the mystery schools. And I think young King Andre has spoken about that. So they sat there and they learned the astronomy, they learned the astrology, they learned how to the principles of how to manipulate what we do here on Earth, and then to use that and create the Bible in 325 BC. That's when the Council of Nicaea convened. You had the Council of Chalcedon also, where they conscripted and composed these Bible scriptures and put it into a form that could be used as fear mongering to keep us oppressed. If you talk about the mark, the Bible could be that mark. It could be the mark. And so I keep myself very well protected because I know who I am. On a very divine level, I am in the 12th house of Pisces, and I didn't know all of these astrological things until I met Andre Sr. and Andre Jr., because I didn't study astronomy or astrology. All I thought about was, let me read my horoscope, right? Every day. That was the extent. But now I understand that there is an alignment and a cyclical, the cycle of how our universe evolves and how the role I need to play in that, and the role that others have played in the evolution of us being human beings. And so I fear not Lucifer. I don't fear Lucifer. I don't fear dying. I don't fear dying. And most of us must overcome that because we don't die. Our spirits never die. Maybe, these bodies that we have
They just give out.
Yeah, they give out.
No.
But the spirit is here, and that energy, our energy stays alive, and the energy of our ancestors is still here guiding us to the point where we could bring this balance. And I've seen it. Being that clairvoyant, I've seen the mass gathering, just as this person wrote in the scripture, but it's for the betterment and the goodness and the harmony and the peace, righteousness, joy, those principles of Ma'at that's going to come forth in this gathering of 144,000. And we will win, and we will bring goodness back to Mother Nature, which is what she's asking us to do. And the spirit of God is female and male.
Yeah, I believe that. Terrence, do you want to say anything about that
Well,
particular
when you
scripture?
mention about what did God create first, saying that the heavens and the earth, and I'm a firm believer in that, but I don't
Tell
believe
everybody
that
else.
I don't believe that we were created on planet Earth, that we were brought to planet Earth through our ancestry a long time ago. And we were brought here because we had religious differences where we were created in other solar systems and we were fighting each other. And somehow they decided to have a truce and put us on the planet Earth to see if we could get along and solve our religious differences because, you know, our Caucasian brothers believe that they were from Pleiades. You got some believe they're from Orion. Our,
Right.
our brothers believe through the Nomos that came to planet Earth and communicated with the Dogons that we were from Sirius B, and they got drawings in the cave showing you these drawings of this constellation, and they're so old that we didn't have telescopes then, so somebody came here with that knowledge.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we're, finally, getting it together as a human race because, our Caucasian brothers were the last ones to come to planet Earth. And when they came here, they started going around the planet, intruding on other individuals, and we all sort of accepted them, but they had an agenda. They knew they came from somewhere else. In a sense, we didn't know until we were told through the nomos. And our Caucasian brothers, they've got space programs of trying to get back to where they feel they originated from. They got telescopes that could almost see the not the end of the universe, but so far they see other galaxies, but they're not really looking out there. They're not telling us what all they're looking for. They're looking for this planet that they feel they basically came from. And they're spending trillions of dollars in exploration in space where they could use half of that to bring us all together on planet Earth, but that's not their will. They want to stay on top, and they're going to do it by any means necessary. But some of them are being disenfranchised and they want to unite with us to resolve this age old problem who we are. We're all God's children, regardless of where we're from. But
Mm.
our job is to come together on planet Earth and create a heavenly environment. And then we can go anywhere we want because we are God's children. We are created with this intelligence that's beyond most people's imagination. And I see it.
Mm.
So I'll give someone else a chance to
Thank you,
talk.
Terrence. Dennis, do you have any input?
No
Or
comment.
okay. What'd you say?
No comments.
No comment. And so how is it that we
Hold on, my wife is here, so she wanted to say something very quickly, I
oh
guess.
sure.
Hello, everybody. How you
Hello.
all doing?
Good.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow. Want to say this here. I want to go back to the chip thing. Um,
It's a real thing.
yes, it's a real thing, but I believe that we're looking at it as something like a little chip or something. But I believe this has been happening to us for a long time now through the foods. And
The
I
food?
believe the
I'm
code, the
sorry. Through the
code,
food?
the
Food.
food,
Okay.
food,
Mhm.
food, FOOD.
Okay.
It's coming through the food. That's why you're seeing the GMOs. It's an organism. It's an organism. You know, we are seeing when you start studying natural health and stuff like that, you'll start seeing that a lot of people, a lot of doctors, a lot of scientists are saying from your cancers to your HIVs, these are parasites. Okay. So what they're using is parasites to control you. They're putting it in the food, the processed foods. You have scientists, food scientists that are putting it in the food. It's not necessarily some electronic thing. It's a living organism that's growing in your body. So it comes alive, just like in the female with the HIV. They put it in the black female where it comes alive inside of the black female. So this is how they're controlling a lot of things. Already they're doing it. You know, we go to running when our body is trying to correct things like cancer. Our body is trying to correct things that's wrong in our body. We run and we listen to them because we get afraid and we go down there. We're not doing our studies. For one thing, we have women going to get these um, tests every year for their breasts, and nobody is saying, "Oh, this causes cancer." So every time you go there, they're shooting these rays in you, causing cancer in your body. Your body is trying to make sure it get rid of that. and everything, but we're going out there getting it. But those codes are inside our Bible. Those codes are inside our Bible. Yes, they're changing it around and everything. They're changing around, but the codes are in there. They start out with the food, and they've been doing it for a long time. Say, for instance, let me just say this, for instance, the passion fruit, right? We know passion fruit as to grow in the wild. But if you go and do your research, over 1,000, I believe it's over 1,000. I'm gonna say, let me just be safe and say 500 years ago, right? That they actually crossed over a grapefruit and one other fruit, right? To make the passion fruit. I'm like, okay, these people are very intelligent back there that they can go in and do something to the seed to make this fruit, okay? And we all know that a grapefruit does not grow on a vine, but they were doing this back then. So the science that we see now, they had this science a long time ago. This is just old surface stuff that we see, but there's a lot more that we don't see. And let me talk about Antarctica. Did I say the right word? I probably didn't say it right. Okay. But anyway, they're actually showing that they have that intelligence right there that they've been covering up for a long time. And now that the ice is starting to melt, they're seeing this stuff and they actually blacked it out so you can't see it. But a lot of stuff, we go and we talk about people who have a Christian faith. We all of a sudden just lump everybody together and say they're Christians, okay, without allowing them to speak. You understand me? See, a lot of people have been gotten into this, right, because they have been given this book, but the book is actually a code. It is a code for us. And a lot of things, I'm going to tell you something. I didn't grow up as what you all call a Baptist or Christian or whatever. I didn't grow up that way. My daddy was ordained pastor back in his day, and he left the church because he said they were telling a lot of lies. And as I go back and I start reading the Bible, because I'm going to say this, God said, I want you to go back and I want you to read that book slowly. And he started revealing things to me. Okay. And there's a lot of things, but there's a code. That book is not just for everybody to understand, because there's a code in there for the people. When this lady, I'm sorry, your name Donna, am I correct? It is. You said that most Christians tell you the first thing God created was man. I've never heard anybody say that. I've never heard anybody say that, but you may run into people who are very religious who say that, who don't study their word for themselves. Right. And this is how we're getting caught up. But the thing is even back then, we know that there was something else going on in the beginning, because the word says this here. It says he hovered over. He hovered over the earth. So it was already created because he was hovering over it. He was looking over.
That's what I said.
So it was something else going on there. And, there's codes in there because people just read over this stuff. He made one tree, and out of all those trees, one tree, a whole bunch of other trees come. We got to know the science behind all this stuff, because I'm going to tell you something. These are codes that we have to know. We have to know. And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of us are being locked up. And see, I was telling my son the other day, I said, you know what? I believe I'm going to change the way I eat and change the way, how many days I eat. I said, I'm thinking about eating only 3 days out the week. And the other days, I just fast. And you know what?
Well, a lot of countries do only eat once a day.
Right. I didn't say once a day, though. I said.
No, I'm just saying, a lot of countries only eat once a day and fast,
yes, but the thing is,
the first
let me finish. The thing is, what I'm saying is this, is that we're being tricked to thinking that we have to have that food, we have to have that water. And a lot of people are coming out now and talking about, and you know what hit me the other day? I got that download. The clothing that we're wearing, okay? We're told not to eat pig, okay? The reason why we're not eating pig is because that pig skin is not breathing. Now we have clothes that we're putting on our bodies that is not allowing our bodies to breathe. This is causing a lot of diseases in our bodies because we're not allowing our bodies to breathe. And I'm going to stop there because I can go on with a lot of more downloads that I have given you, but I'm going to say this one other thing, and then I'm going to stop. Mm-hmm. Now, the TVs that we have in our homes, our electronic stuff we have in our homes, they're already coming into your homes. You worried about saying yes to an implant. No, they're coming into your sleep. And they're putting these things in you. I have experienced this myself. And I have been going through these things for years. So they're already coming into your house. They already know how to come directly into your house. That's why you got to shut these things off. You got to unplug them. You got to unplug these things, unplug your box. You got, because they're coming through that way. You don't have to be going somewhere and sign it off and say, yes, I want it or whatever. No, they're coming in your sleep. While you sleep, they're doing operations.
So I know we're getting to the closing hour.
But we're past the time we can go to Instagram, so we can go on. It's fine.
Oh, okay. All right.
What I thank you, Miss.
I just wanted to say that because there's so much more that I can talk to that been a download to me. I don't believe that I am sitting under the name of a Christian. I don't believe that, but I do believe there is a God. Do I believe there is a Savior? Yes, I do. And that's how I believe, but I do. Now, I'm going to say however. I'm not going to say but. I'm going to say however. I do get these downloads, things that I come back and I tell my son, because I wanted to do something a while back for the kids. And I started talking about coding. And I say, do you realize they're going to have a machine that will, I wanted to actually come up with a play to show where they're coding, then the coding machine will code itself. When it breaks down or have a problem, it will recode itself. This is why they want all these kids to start coding, because they want to get all your information. They want to know your thoughts and everything, because that machine will do everything. And you see it going on in the schools right now.
Yes, because the schools, when the children come in first day, they get a laptop. That's something that they didn't normally do. Every child.
So Donna, and stand in sync with the book, The Lucifer's Revenge.
Right.
One of the things we were trying to get across, and so my son and I on different poles of this book. He brings in a unique perspective from his generation, and I'm glad he's doing that because they will be able to relate to him. I'm bringing in a perspective from my generation, which most of us on here are from. The issue that we talked about is, in the words of Malcolm X, we got hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray.
Yeah.
And it's hard for our generation, not all of us, but a lot of us, to make that adjustment to say, okay, we got hoodwinked. So what can we do about it? We know that the Bible was plagiarized from a lot of other tablets and a lot of information, and it was organized to create a religion to enslave the entire planet. We know that. All the codes in there, they obscure them or misinterpret them. But the issue here now to our generation is to our children. They're not going along, they're applying basic logic, and they don't see the logic in the King James version of the Bible. They don't figure out who King James is now.
Well,
so that's creating
that's a whole nother video.
Yeah. So that's creating a conflict. Mm-hmm. So we, the elders, have to accept our faults and our failing of all those generations behind us and say, okay, they got us, but better late than never, and then come together as a collective. All we asking the people from our generation now, get a copy of this book and give it to 5 or 6 young men and women in your community. They can relate to this because somebody from their generation participated in writing this book. They can relate to my son. The ones that from our generation, they know that we have been going in the wrong direction, because you look at the results of what the European Christianity has done to our society. We're going into homosexualism. People are being locked up, the drug game, all of these things, and it's a few that they leave, that they allow to prosper, but under what terms and what conditions? Are you prospering? So, so where we are right now, we have this manual, this book, and that if you read it, it's a learning experience. Because when my son was writing, I went, whoa, some of this stuff I didn't know. And so I'm learning from my son. My son's learning from me. And this covers 5 or 6 generations. Well, maybe not that many, but enough generations for us to make a difference. And this is what the book is doing. It's providing us an alternative to what was given to us by a very wicked, low frequency entity or group of entities. And so where we are right now on planet Earth, the scales are tilted in the wrong direction, where negative energy is controlling the narrative. Negative energy is not designed to control the narrative. They have an intricate part in the balance of humanity, but not to control the narrative. Just like Adolf Hitler, he was a low frequency entity. He should not have been controlling the narrative. And there are a lot of other entities that the Luciferian or the low frequency aliens, they know how to identify these individuals. And the United States government and the Europeans do this today. They'll go into a community, find the low frequency entities, and invest in them. Huh?
Stir it up.
Yeah. And before you know it, they turn into murdering dictators. And so we have that technology to go to those nations and explain to them what this low frequency entity is doing. When they read Lucifer's Revenge, and we're going to get it in as many languages as we can, they can go say, oh, no, we're not falling for that game anymore.
Let me ask you.
Go out and get some copies and hand them to the children. That's the start, the process of healing and making up for the mistake.
I love you, but you're going to have to rewrite it if it's for children. It's going to have to be put on a little bit lower scale, not lower scale, but thought processes for them to get it all. And I think you can do it, but I'm not sure you can do it with the book that you have out now. I want to talk about portals and Andre Jr. Tell me how it is that we get our young people, I'm talking about elementary school, to get in a space and we as a people get them in a space where they can receive. Is it a quiet space? Is it a music space? What is that? How does that happen? Okay, so let me just say this. I've been writing since I was 7, but of course, I was raised in a steel town and writing was not going to get you any money. So you can write all you want, right? But now that I understand that everything that I wrote when I was 7 is now in 5 books, right? Because now you get through the process of, okay, I did everything my parents told me to do, so now I can do what I got to put out to the world. How do we get that to the younger generation?
I'll be very straightforward about it. We're gonna have to start with the movement that Queen Mother is starting.
Okay.
All right, with the Maya Sankofa African Learning Temple, a mobile classroom. My point is,
because they're not going to do it in the regular school. Forget about it, right? Yeah. Okay.
If it's so long, and I really can't sugarcoat this. So long as the average curriculum, especially in public school, but even in most private schools, so long as that curriculum is designed and curated by people who have absolutely no interest in telling you the truth, you're not going to get access to, like you say, the portals and or higher frequencies of thought, which create the portals. Take for instance, my dad, he always said this to me over the years, or he said it in general, and it's something that stuck with me. The mind has a way of correcting itself.
Yes.
Unless you keep reprogramming it with the same thing all the time. It'll correct itself if you let it alone, right? And you give it an opportunity to rationalize. But if we keep sending them to the reprogramming house every day, that's exactly what's going to happen. And so, an overhaul, in technicality, an overhaul of the curriculum, which is something that Queen Mother Brenda is offering. She's fearless about it. And I know her well enough to know exactly what she's going to put in that curriculum. And what happens is your subconscious then has an opportunity to actually relate to your consciousness. So in other words, we have a subconscious that is observing everything that we see, even out of our peripheral. Matter of fact, even more sharply out of our peripheral, whether it's our eyes, ears, whatever the case, anything that's we're passively consuming by all senses, being stored in the subconscious. But when we're being consciously bombarded with misinformation, now we're going insane because we have a disconnect between our subconscious and our actual conscious. And that is deliberate. I mean, that is completely blocking us from the portals, and portals meaning using our own mind to do what they call nowadays quantum entanglement.
Just to open.
Once we can make that connection, we can fully activate our processor here, this brain, and we can connect that to the heart chakra, and we can probably teleport wherever we want to after that. And I mean that very, very, very literally.
And so I want to just get some final words from everybody before we close. And I want our audience to go to Amazon.com and get Lucifer's Revenge, a guide for the 144 chosen by Andre Hill Sr. and Andre Hill Jr. Mr. Terrence, would you like to give us any closing remarks? It's to turn your on mute.
Yeah.
My closing remarks is the internet is a wonderful thing because we've got an avenue that we can communicate and put the truth out there. We can't rely on television to do it because that's a program, and it's programming us in a lot of ways that we don't really want and need. We need to be programmed in a positive way to know who we are. Once we know who we are, we can do anything. The sky isn't the limit. We know that. But we've got to come together as a human race, and that's why we were put here on planet Earth. And until we do that, we're going to have problems. But we got to come together. It's in us to conquer what we will. That's my statement.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis Thicklin?
So Thicklin, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I go back to being basic, elementary, simple. We're born, at birth. The Creator designed our bodies, mind, spirit, body, so to operate in a certain way. Really, we have everything inside of us. We can be nurtured by our parents that may not fully understand. This is how God showed me. We see with our eyes, we listen, we operate in a certain manner with love, respect, and integrity with everyone. Don't hate, take care of yourself, because we're going to leave this earth. We're going to expire. I can say I'm going to go to heaven. People can say I'm going to get reincarnated. And sometimes I say, okay, really, Dennis, do you really know? But all I do know is that what God showed me in the beginning, basic stuff, love, work hard, you know, do the right thing, respect people. And if we do certain things a certain way, nobody can really program me. No white supremacists, no N-word, no me being labeled a second-class citizen. I can elevate above all of that because I was taught and shown at a very early age, and it manifests throughout my life during this journey through life on this earth. And there are some things in the Bible that resonate to what even, okay, I'll close by saying this. Even before I read the Bible, God gave me the Bible from himself and downloaded in my mind, spirit, heart, soul. And he told me, and it solidified in my spirit of who I am, who our people are. And that's it. That's, there's sophisticated books out there, philosophy, astronomy, physiology, quantum physics. I read all of this stuff just for educational purposes, but I always go back to what I know that I heard from the Most High, and that keeps me at peace. I get victory after victory, joy, peace. Nothing really shakes me or moves me, so I'll leave it at that. And hey, we're powerful beyond measure.
Thank you so much, Divine Goddess.
Yes, to what I feel is absolutely important for us is to captivate the minds of our young people. When you
Absolutely.
talked about the portal, we need to be able, and I learned this from Andre Sr., we need to learn what their natural abilities are. If it's science, math, astronomy, arts, music, literature, whatever that is, whatever they gravitate to, we can tweak that and give them that so that they develop in a more natural state of being. And with that being, they will be able to relax and enjoy the experience of their learning. And we can feed into them the truth as to what they are here to do, and they can identify quite early on what their purpose in life is on this planet. So captivating those young minds is what Ma'at Sankofa will do. It will give them an enlightenment and an understanding of how they need to resonate and evolve in this universal sphere that we are encompassed. And then they understand who they are based on the knowledge that has not been shared in our public schools, because they don't teach them that they are gods and goddesses. And to make one more point, when we talk about the male gender being God, actually in the hieroglyphs in the ancient temples, Hathor was, or Newt was,
Yeah.
okay, over human being, human life. So we have to understand a balance that our females and males, we're not in competition. We are equal. We are equal. We are able to reincarnate both of these genders and have them within us. But we must be able to identify who we are and the power that we have to manifest, to create miracles, and to heal, take the information that we hear, that we read, that we know, process it to a critical thinking level, and share that with our children at a very young age so that they grow up being fully aware of what they will encounter in this future. But they have to go back and learn from our ancient ancestors that are still, their energy source is still here, feeding and guiding. When we talk about the downloads, where do you think they're coming from?
Right.
It's not one source, but
Right.
they're from all of those other entities that have gone before us and that's sharing with us and guiding us and protecting us on the highest level, and teaching our children not to be afraid of what this technology is going to, what is being offered to them. We must not let them be afraid, but we cannot staunch their growth by not sharing. So
Right.
we have to be able to let them experience what they're here to experience. And so Ma'at Sankofa, Ma'at means truth. Sankofa means to look back and fetch it. So we look back and fetch the truth and we bring it forward so we know what we've done, what our future looks like, and we don't get to repeat some of the things that are not so good
Right.
because the cycles will take us through the golden era, the chaotic era, and so forth. Just like the seasons come and go, we must align ourselves with the cyclical processes of Mother Nature.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So, Andre, you still have a conversation that I need to have with you about the DMT molecule. I haven't forgotten about that. We have to get back to that at another time. But if you just wrap it up for us, and if you have any parting words, that'd be great. Andre Hill Jr.
Okay.
You're the one who told me there was more to the DMT molecule than we discussed before. So we'll have to come back to that. But
yeah, yeah, that's a show all on
yeah,
its own.
yeah.
Well, first of all, Ms. Banks, I want to thank you greatly for offering us this space, supporting us with this, with our endeavor with this book, giving an opportunity to convey it to the world here, and especially your audience. It is a Dad calls it a playbook. We can call it a strategic action plan. We can call it a manifesto. We can call it a cracking of the codes. What it's designed to do, just like Morpheus told Neo in the Matrix, it's designed to free your mind. This is designed to free your mind. I believe the souls are willing. I believe the souls are willing, but they need some direction. This book gives them some direction. Everything that we put in it is not only information. It's a call to action. It's something that we can do. Me and the whole Straight Talk family. That's what we're about. We're about bringing the new world into fruition. We explain it in pretty good detail in this book how we're going to do that. So go out, get your copies. www.lucifersrevenge.net. We appreciate the support. And Ms. Banks, Ms. Donald, we appreciate it. And anytime you want us back, just let us know.
Yeah, you got a conversation you need to have with me about that DMT.
I
Andre
got you.
Hill Sr., would you give us some parting words before we?
Yeah, real quick. This book it tells you very plainly that the low frequency entity known as Lucifer came to this planet with one objective, and that was to destroy the original children of God, the aboriginals, the melanated children, and replace it with a humanoid that will worship him. That was his primary objective, and he's done a very good job at it. What this book does is give you a playbook to understand how he's doing it and why he's doing it, and gives you the option to say, I don't think I want to be a part of that. And that's what this book is all about. That's why you need to get it out there to your kids, because them kids are bringing them grandbabies home, and you're going to be taking care of grandbabies and great grandbabies, and then you're going to die and come back in the next life as one of them great grandbabies, and you'll be in the same predicament.
And you'll be able to,
yeah. So get the book. Let's get it in our children's hand. They'll figure it out. They already know it. They'll figure it out, and we'll start this movement of reclaiming our heritage, our image, and taking charge of our planet, because this is our planet. This is at least the surface part.
At least the surface part.
Yeah.
Andre Jr., give me that website again. I didn't have it. All I had was your Amazon address.
It's www.lucifersrevenge.net. Just Lucifer's, no apostrophe, lucifersrevenge.net.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Mr. Dunham, is there anything you'd like to say? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, and I will take 2 Tylenol and buy the book.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
We thank you.
So you gave me too much information.
Ooh, talk about it.
Way too much information. So thank you everybody for being on Zoom In After Dark. It is a fresh book presentation. And when the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.